Welcome back to Tiny Little Victories. This is the year 2023. I'm so excited you're back. And guess what? This is episode 5 of Tiny Little Victories. Episode 5. And I am so psyched because we are going to be talking to Philip Hordijk, who lives in New York City. I'm going to phone him into this podcast shortly. And Philip runs a very successful real estate company in New York. But that's not how he started. No. Philip is from the Netherlands, and we met in 2008 digitally when he had a startup called Mappy Friends. Yes, Mappy Friends. You know, this guy, he really wanted to make this work. It wasn't the best idea, but there were a lot of ideas running around there in 2007, 2008 in the Netherlands that were all geared around location-based technology, location-based social networks, and sort of in real life type applications. But over time, you learn what works and what doesn't work. So Philip has some great stories to talk about how he got to the point where he realized that Mappy Friends wasn't going to work, but also where he really wanted to be, which is very interesting how he got to that where he is now. It took about 10 years to make that shift to the successful real estate company that he now runs in New York City. So stay tuned and we will talk to Philip after this beautiful interlude of music. Well. I think we have someone on the line with us today. Is this you, Philip?
It is me. Hi, Jennifer.
How
are you?
Hello. How are you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Great.
I'm ready for this new ride that we're going to go on.
Yeah, it's a great ride. And by the way, welcome to 2023.
Thank you. You too.
This is great. Hey, everybody, I am talking to Philip. Now, I'm going to murder your last name, so please correct me because he's Dutch. Hordijk. No?
I'll take it.
Okay. You'll take it? Oh, so it's not so bad, right?
Not so bad.
Okay, say it your way, though.
Hordijk.
Hordijk. Okay, so there's no j at all. Okay, you're so kind. Okay, so I want to tell everybody that this is Philip Hordijk. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, and he is the founder and owner of what used to be New York Casas, but now has a very weird name, which we're going to talk about later. But first, I want to thank him for joining. Thank you. You're in New York City today. Is that right?
Yes, I'm in the office here on White Street in Tribeca.
Oh, look at you in Tribeca working, always working. I'm still taking this day off. I'm not doing any work except talking to you.
Okay.
And Philip and I have known each other for a very, very long time. And I want to get into this story because I started thinking about this when I was pulling the script together. And I think we've known each other for since 2007. Is that right? Or 2008?
I think it's going to be 2008 digitally and then met in person 2009.
Oh my God, I love that. That's right, because Philip is a tech guy, so we're going to get all into tech stuff and all the stuff he's done. That's right, 2008, and we met digitally, but we met in real life in the Netherlands when I was living in Amsterdam. And I have to tell you, it was sort of like the heyday, like the Dutch tech mafia back then. Don't you think? It was like you had a startup called Mappy Friends.
Yes.
And everybody was doing in real life and location-based everything. And I feel like Amsterdam and the Netherlands at the time was really the sort of epicenter for what was happening with all of this new, in real life and map your friends all over the world it's sort of before its time. You were before your time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, having seen both New York and Amsterdam at the time, I mean, maybe it was one of the earlier cities in Europe that went on that trend.
Yeah, I think so.
Checking in and showing location, showing where you are.
But do you remember Hive? Because the Netherlands had its own social network. I think it was Hive.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Hives, which is an interesting name.
Yeah, because all the bees hanging out in a hive. And I think what's so interesting about that is that I will say this because I have an affinity for Dutch and all my Dutchies, but it's like you guys really think that you have invented the first of everything all the time. And I remember walking around talking to people, talking to you, talking about Hive. It's like, there's nothing better than that. I'm like, you guys do know there's another social network out there, right? But I think I've been thinking back on this, and it's sort of like you and Frank Skull were like the dueling, like not like the tech startup location twins, but you guys were, if you think about it, you're like a brunette and Frank was blonde and he had like an in real life mapping thing and you had an in real life mapping thing. It was, think about it. Think about it. It's like dark and light. Like you guys were two versions of each other.
Maybe. Never thought about it that way.
And they're both tall, everybody. They're both like well over 6'2", these two right here. But you know, you started Mappy Friends when you were in Argentina, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. I kind of found a team there that wanted to work on it with me, and for better or for worse, it took a long time, but we did get it out.
You did get it out, and I remember thinking like, this guy is like so convinced and believes and has so much passion and energy for what he's doing. I sure hope this thing works.
I had an awful time in Argentina. I had a great time.
Why was it a great time?
But it took until I relocated myself to New York for like 6 months that I was like, maybe I should test this. Maybe I should come out of my head for a while and stop following strangers on Twitter for half an hour a day. In the hopes of getting a follow back, and maybe I should just and that was tedious too, because you had to you could only follow like 250 people a day or 100, and then you would have to de-follow them the next day, and then you would have to do the same trick to like another. It's insanely.
Yes, but do you remember, you guys, like over 10 years ago, close to 10 years ago, and Twitter was a whole different place then. Like you're so right. It was like the whole point after. With Twitter at that point was to only get followers. And there was nobody of note on there that wasn't technology people. It was all technology people, right? It was all startups. It was all.
Yeah, until that actor decided that he needed 1 million followers and made it a bet, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now it's polluted with actors tooting their horns and all the other crap that's going on there. We can come back to Twitter later, but you are so right. That I remember thinking about like, what is the point of Twitter? Like, why are we here? Just to struggle to get people to follow you. And then what does it do for you? It just basically makes you feel good.
Yeah. I mean, Instagram knows. They were like, oh, we could do this with images and it works 10 times better. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so true. And images do work 10 times better because most people are stupid and they can't read. And I think people don't want to read. But you talk about spending like 30 minutes of your time on Twitter while you're building that startup. And I remember you and I having a very brief conversation when you were talking about Mappy Friends. And I think I said, I don't think that's going to work so great. And you're like, yes, it's definitely going to work. And I love it that you chose to go into the real world and test this theory, because in real life, at that time, I don't think people were really testing things. They're like, oh, we have 100 beta users. Oh, we have 1,000 beta users. Isn't it great? But the reality is how are people really going to use it? Is it going to fit into their lives? Does it make sense? Do we need to know where everybody is? And of course, now we've got a word for it, doxing, which we can't do. So it's kind of.
It holds up until today. Like I hear so many ideas and things. I'm like, okay, great. And they're telling me, yeah, so then they get to this page and they do this and they do this and they do this. And I answer them, that sounds lovely, but how the hell did they get to this page to begin with? Like, why are they here? And they look at me like I'm asking them a stupid question. And it takes about 30 seconds. And then they come to realize that they don't have an answer and that, that the stupid is on them.
Yeah, but exactly. That's such a good point. The stupid is on them, because I don't think that there's like a totally, like a connect between how people use technology, how we started, at that point in time when we were creating all of these ways to connect people to see them on a map. And even if you think about it today, you're thinking like, do we really need all of this? Are we really connected with people? Or is it literally just like putting all our marbles in the back pocket just in case we might need this person, or we like knowing that we have these people following us or people listening to us? But, it's very hard to even keep up with more than maybe a handful of people, because you go away, you have life, you feed your kids, you walk your dog, you come back, and it's like by this point, you've missed thousands and hundreds of, tweets. So I kind of feel like we've made a chore for ourselves. It's more work than what people intended it to be.
It is more work than fun.
Yeah.
Period.
We don't have to do it, do we? I mean, like okay, so you started this business, Mappy Friends, and then you decided not to continue with Mappy Friends, but you went to New York. You wanted to make it big and you go to New York and you're in real estate. Now you own a very big, like a real estate company, and you did a big pivot, right, from technology. But has technology followed you into this new job, into this new company that you founded? Were you still able to use pieces of technology that you believed in as an early adopter in what you're doing now?
Well, technology is definitely part of that because it allowed me to connect the dots between three things: real estate in New York,
Okay.
international and languages, and Google, right? And like knowing that Google AdWords is a thing, and people search online, and like that was literally how I started this real estate company, creating content in a different language on New York City real estate.
Okay, I love that it all comes back to Google, because you're right, it is all about AdWords and connecting people. And so what was that journey like for you? You went to New York with, I want to say, like very few pennies in your backpack, right? And what gave you the idea? Why did you think we needed to have a real estate company in all these multiple languages? Like what market did you think you were serving?
Well, originally, I focused on Latin America for myself since I speak those languages and my wife is from Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
But that grew into more languages and more countries, and I think that website is in 25 languages right now.
Whoa. But are those manually translated, or did AI do that for you?
No. That was at the time manually translated.
Okay. Wow.
Because, and I also decided that I think the guy that was doing my website, he said, why don't we do a WordPress? I was like, no, that's what everybody else does. That's not what we're going to do. We are going to do it from scratch, from this Twitter again. And I forced him to like manually code. First it was I think HTML, then PHP, or the other way around, and it was a ton of work, but it did get us on number one on Google in 2 or 3 languages, which to this day has been good. And
that's incredible.
Like, yeah, because my premise was, well, if everybody's doing it, how are you going to compete? So let's do it a different way, and hopefully we'll stand out in the crowd a little bit. So
I love that about you.
Worked out.
I do love that about you. I do think that most of I would describe, if I had to use one word to describe you, it'd be perseverance. Because I think that your mentality is, if everybody's doing it this way, I definitely don't effing want to do it that way. I mean, that's part of who you are, right? Your personality is like, I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. And do you think that because you do things that way, it's made things harder for you, or it's made the outcome better for you?
Well, I'm starting to get a taste of the outcome, so it's exciting times now. So, but
what's the time frame there to go from this manual coding to get to where you were starting out to where you are now? Like, is that 5 years?
10 years.
10 years. Okay, a decade.
A decade, yes.
Yeah.
But also decade of 100x, right? So revenue 100x.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, not that means that's not profit, right? And, and I think we do need to reconcile that. We've lived an era of profits. Who needs them?
Yeah.
I'm like, we all do at some point in time. Sometime you need to like actually make money. But so I'm curious to see when that I wouldn't call it stupid money, but just like greedy money dries up and like. And like, oh, okay, there is no, unicorns to invest in right now. Maybe we should keep the money. Then, people are and you see that with, companies like WeWork or Compass, one of my competitors. Like, hey, it's been great. You've done a great job in scaling. Now show me you can make money. And they having a really, really hard time. Really, really hard time because they've been conditioning everybody around them for freebies for a very, very long time. It's like,
Well, I think
schooling
that
your
is a
kid
really
for 10 years and then telling them they have to go to bed at 9 p.m.
exactly,
Like,
exactly. That's so well said, because I think you just hit the nail on the head with what we're seeing now, right? Like this whole digital social connectivity industry was built around freebies. The whole thing was free, right?
yeah,
You can use Twitter for free. You don't have to pay. You can use Instagram for free. You don't have to pay. You can be on Facebook, but we humans have become so whiny. It's like, well, I'm not getting this now, and I don't want to pay for that now. I'm like, yeah, but it's free. It's like you don't have to use it if you don't want to pay for it. But from a company point of view, that model to me has always been a bit flawed. Like, why would you do have to make money, right? So if the whole industry is geared around, hey, don't worry about making money now, but you can make money later, but you've already like institutionalized your customers to thinking it's free.
right.
How are you going to make that shift and change into a model that you would pay for?
And
So
then we make the owners of those companies come to Capitol Hill to defend themselves how they're selling our data. I'm like, of course they're
yeah,
selling our data. They need to pay
yeah.
the
What,
bill
what did they?
somehow.
What did you
Like,
think
what do
they
you
were going to
want?
do with it? Right, exactly. What did you think they were going to do with it? No, I tell people all the time, I say, hey, you don't have to use it. And people go, oh, I don't want people sharing my data. I'm like, well, stop clicking on photos then, because
Yeah,
every click you make, everything you like, everything you share is tracked and measured and boiled down and turned into a data cake.
that
And
should be
then
a
somebody
song.
eats that
Every
data
click
cake.
you make.
Yep. Every click you
Every
make, isn't it
click
like
you
you
make.
make, every
Yeah.
move you make. Well, tell us a little bit about, because not everybody knows, what is it that New York Costas does? Although New York Costas has now been rebranded under
Correct.
a bread. Like what is the name of the new company?
Well, growing bread.
Yeah, great.
Jennifer, you like bread? Come on.
I love bread.
So
Those
so
are my favorite foods.
Leaven Real Estate, but
Okay.
it's a reference to leavening the bread and growth, and I think it's geared towards growth and the growth that I've experienced in the last 10 years, transferring that
Mhm.
to other individuals in the company
Okay.
and allowing them to grow and allowing the clients to grow, because at the end of the day, people buy and sell homes for four reasons. They either want to grow independent, they want to grow their careers, they want to grow a family, or they want to grow old. They're all in a growth mindset in a way, right? They make the
Mhm.
move for growth.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I knew that there was a bread related when I saw it, when you told me the name, which I didn't know it happened. I was like, oh, it's leavening things. That's so interesting, because I do think you're quite a cerebral person, right? You tend to like to take words and then make them in to have meaning in what you're creating. And so it's a big shift though from New York Casas, which is very fun and
Yeah, but as you grow, right, in the beginning, the more niche, the better, in my opinion,
true. I
because
agree. I
you
agree.
need to hit one chord, not many. You just need to hit one chord and
Yeah.
survive.
Yeah.
And then once you become a song, you gotta have a little bit more in your repertoire, right? So then, let's just say you need to start not ruling things out as your song develops and becomes a symphony. And and New York is limiting in that sense, because I
Yeah.
want to take it in other places. And then Casas is a very Chipotle word, and Chipotle,
Yeah.
I don't mind it. It's pretty good actually from time to time, but it's definitely not great.
No, I mean,
So,
I think it's interesting. I think you bring up you're so, I love this. You bring up a very, very good point, because New York Costas does stand out, right? Because you think of New York real estate and there's all these penthouses and Upper West Side, West Village, but a casa is just something so warm, right? It's so inviting. It's so different. It's a good like juxtaposition against what you would think is like a very hard, unyielding like skyline and like the real estate market there. So it's warmer. It's much warmer.
yeah.
And also, I think your point about being, you have to be niche to survive, but then you got to get that song diversified, because nobody wants to hear those lyrics like over and over and over again. And I do think Levin Real Estate is, I knew it was about leavening, and I think it's about growing something. And I guess my question is, how do you think that you would change, the company would pivot again in another 10 years, or do you think this is your launch pad for that growth to, as you say, big money, or moving into more diversified parts of real estate? or what is your thinking of that with the company?
Sure.
Yes.
My thinking is that it would remain this name unless, some other wise kid tells me otherwise.
Yeah.
Because it's so painful to change everything.
I can imagine. Yeah,
Spent
because your
3-4
email's
months
still.
of my life on this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And and I do believe in the name. I believe it has the attributes. And it's funny that you said warm, because of course bread is warm, but
True.
that's definitely the culture that we have, a very warm culture around this table here.
Yeah.
And very diversified. And fun fact,
Okay.
this is not why I call it this way, but it happens to be, I have a meaning in Dutch as well, leven. It means life or to live.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So I think from that perspective, I would say no. I think it was funny because that little house, that logo, everybody was so attached to it. So I was like, okay, let me just keep let's keep the house. Change the name, keep the house. So, for now, this is hopefully going to allow other people that don't fit into that casas word as a Spanish word or Italian or
but it's sort of a global
Portuguese
word now. I mean, I think
it is, but
I think it's a global word.
I have spelled this for people on the phone at least 2,000 times in the last 10 years. I'm not.
But you mean casas?
Yes, it's incredible. Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you that I'm looking at on my desk right now a coaster from a set of coasters that you gave me many years ago, and on the back is the New York Casas with that iconic logo, which I have to say I'm very, very glad you kept, because I can see where people would be attached to it. There's something really beautiful about this building. It is, to me, it's very warm. It's not too tall. It feels like New York, but sitting next to the word casas, to me, really makes it, again, so unique and niche. So I'm really glad that you've kept it, because I feel like I have this vintage coaster now, because nobody else is going to be having New York Casas coasters.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, the price doubled for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I hope nobody comes in here, breaks them or steals them. I love it. Well,
yeah, keep them out of the sun too.
Oh, it's on my desk every day. I put it there to put my coffee on it, and I always think of you. So it's a very good gift to give somebody. I wanted to ask you about that time where you were at a point with New York Casas where you weren't sure if you were going to make it. And you did something that I really admired you for, that I'm not sure a lot of people would do. And that is, you left to go to the suburbs, moved your family out of Manhattan because you needed sort of a break, right? To be able to reset, to have cost savings, to think how to make this work. And I think it was probably one of the most painful things that you did, removing yourself from the energy that you, Philip, get from the city out to the suburbs. And I remember thinking how impressed I was by your sacrifice, in a way, to make this work. And looking back on that now that you're back in Tribeca, and the business is under this nice, warm, new, rising name, and things are more on where you want them to go. If you had that choice again, would you do the same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it just had to happen. Living with a newborn baby as a second child and on 630 square feet in the dark with bed bugs and well, I think there were also some mini cockroaches, we called them.
Yeah.
But they were friendly.
Little friendly cockroaches, like little pets.
And there was like one window that had some light, it's like, and it would happen like in the middle of winter when there was snow. We'd be like all surprised because it would be reflective light, and we'd be like, oh, it's so bright here. No, it was depressing.
And your wife was also in the middle of finding her career, like figuring out how she could work with her career. And I think, I'm not sure many people, though, Philip, would have, I think many people, I'm just guessing, would have given it up, gotten, like my mother says, get a regular job, with these
I offered, it's a funny fact, I offered the website for sale to a competitor for $100K.
What did they take it?
No.
Well, you know what? That's a good.
They would have made fivefold.
Hindsight's always 20/20.
I know.
I think that when you're fighting for something, you you in particular, when you're fighting for something, when I'm fighting for something, you'll look at every single option, right? Until it comes down to the one thing that's probably should have been right in front of you. It's like, well, I'm gonna have to make a sacrifice here, right? I'm gonna have to sell something, or I'm gonna have to pack it up and move out to the suburbs, to Connecticut. I think you guys went to Connecticut.
Yeah, and it wasn't a lonely move. We moved to my in-law families, like around them. So we had
That's smart.
a support system,
Yeah, and that was really smart.
Difference. Yeah.
You guys also looked after Henry when I went on a trip. I remember he was like a suburbs. I love it. Yeah.
Yes, you visited there. That's right.
Yeah. And so now that you are where you are, you've changed the name. How many people do you have now working with Levin? What is it, doubled, or where are you at with people? Because I checked the website.
So the agent count went down because I wanted to focus on those that really want to grow and are not treating this as a side gig,
like a side hustle. Yeah, I like that.
And because we, and I personally put in a lot of time and energy, and it needs to be reciprocated.
Well, I think, what, I really think that's a good strategy, because it's your business and you can do the hell what you want with it. So
right. So the big, hairy, audacious goal is to grow to 100 agents that speak 100 languages and sell $100 million in real estate every month.
Okay.
That's the big, hairy, audacious goal.
Okay.
We're now at about 15% of that. So
what's the timeline there? Like 5 years?
Sorry?
What are you looking at for timeline? Like 5 years?
Yeah, 5 to 10, I would say. But I think the most important part is to keep adding value, right?
Yeah.
What in my industry, everybody's an independent contractor. Everybody can leave tomorrow, and I'll be sitting at this table by myself, eating a team breakfast for 14. It's like, okay, this is gonna be interesting.
Even some Vitello Tornado. Yeah.
We have to, as an agency, especially, continuously reinvent ourselves and figure out how we can grow the business of those that are affiliated with us. And as they grow, we grow. So that's the real challenge. And I do feel like we're scratching the surface now, where it can grow and grow very quickly.
Okay. What happened during COVID? Like what kinds of things were happening in the market then? Did you see everything just like come to a grinding halt in New York? Or
I'll tell you what happened during COVID. TikTok. That's what happened during COVID.
Wait, what?
I had to dance TikTok. I had to dance all these songs with my wife on TikTok. I don't know why.
Oh, it's nothing to do with the business. Apparently you were dancing.
No,
I don't have any business. I don't have any.
For 2 or 3 months, you couldn't go in anywhere, so there was literally nothing to do. But
what were you doing? Were you doing anything for the business other than TikToking with your wife, or no? But that's funny.
I mean, I did an online conference, or organized it, and then with some speakers, and I kept on meeting everybody on Zoom every week. So I kept in touch with every single agent weekly, saying, "Hey, let's just keep going, Don't fall still, because then you have to start back up, right?"
But the real estate market did a weird, but the real estate market did a strange thing. And I thought during COVID that the market was going to completely tank. Like it would just like tumble, but it didn't. People were buying, selling right and left. It was a very busy time.
Yeah, especially outside of the city though. So New York went through something completely different.
Yeah.
Where it kind of fell flat. Then there were a few trades at lower prices, and then it all came roaring back like there was no tomorrow.
Because people were leaving, right? Then they've come back. So when did you start to see a turn again? Was it like 2022 or 21?
No, December of 2020.
December of 2020.
Yes, December of 2020. So like whatever you read in the newspaper is always a very
well, not true.
Dated version of reality. And
I agree.
So I felt it in November, December of 2020, and then it never stopped. It kept on going and roaring until June of this year, July of this year.
And then it just sort of slowed down a little bit. Yeah. And what would you say is the biggest differentiator that Levin Real Estate provides over somebody like a Compass there in Manhattan?
Good question. And I would say currently it is our ability to work together, really work together as a team. So we're not competitors of each other, because we're small enough that we actually know everybody on the team, and personally, we want to work and help each other succeed, right? That's kind of like an environment differentiator. Then we have a ton of experience on the team, combined with a ton of experience in the international space, as in what are the challenges for a foreign buyer or seller? What are the things that they need to know? Like, if it's a foreign seller, for example, they have certain tax withholdings, so they want to maybe get it sold before the end of the year, because otherwise they have to wait another year for that money.
Yeah, I love that. I think
those
that's
kinds of little details that we know that we can easily have a conversation about can make all the difference, besides speaking the language of the client. And what we're working on right now is to literally take over all of the marketing for our agents if they choose to opt in.
That's cool. So sort of like a turnkey marketing solution for them. Correct. If they want to come under, the rising.
Literally everything for them.
Okay.
And they just have to pick up the phone and run with the leads. That's it.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Because what our margins are, let's say, thin, because we, offer a lot to the agents, and then to justify a larger split for the company needs to do more, right? So
and that is a different model than most of them, because they all have to do their own marketing. I think one of my neighbors is a small agency, part of a bigger brand name, and he does all the marketing. Like, he's always having a party, and there's always this invite, and they're all very, very nice, but it's a lot. Like, I think it's a lot,
and there's definitely economies of scale to be had there, right?
Yeah.
Like, why is every real estate agent in the world reinventing the wheel? That makes no sense.
Yeah. No, I agree. And at the end we finish, I will put your link to the company in the notes and in the link. So if anybody's moving to New York or selling something in New York, they can definitely use Philip and his company for sure. So I want to make sure they get that shout out. And so I have a little pop quiz for you that I thought we could do before we wrap this thing up. And I want ready for this? So I want to say Twitter or no Twitter?
No Twitter.
No Twitter. Elon Musk or Richard Branson?
Elon.
Yeah, neither one. Is that what you said?
No, Elon.
Oh, Elon. Why?
Richard Branson.
No, come on, Elon. No. Let's go. You're going to have to justify it, man. Give it to me.
I'm going to justify it. He's out there. He's out there, and he can make those statements. I like that. That. Have you seen Richard Branson with his glass of water on Shark Tank? Come on, he's a baby.
I don't watch Shark Tank.
Okay, there you go. Look up that video. Look at him throw a glass of water on one of the sharks, and then you know why not Richard Branson.
Okay, fine. How about this then? Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos?
With or without steroids?
Forget any steroids that either of them are on.
I mean, I'm gonna go with Jeff because it's amazing. It's Amazoning. Amazing.
That's amazing. It's simply amazing.
Yeah. It's just amazing. Yeah.
I agree that it is. Jeff Bezos is amazing, because I can't say I agree with all of his life choices, but I will say that forget Richard Branson, but I think he has built something original and built it from himself, not like Elon having an idea that didn't work and then buying up somebody else's idea and just like shoving his ego down their throats in order to make it work. So I'm on the Bezos team. I'm on Team Bezos if I had to choose.
Okay. We're on the same team.
Yeah, right on. I love it. Yeah. So what words do you think you say too much of when you're talking to people?
But with one T.
Oh, of course. You don't go around going, "Hey, but."
Yeah, try to replace that with "and" as much as we can, and then what other words? No, that's the main one.
Just but okay. I feel like I say the word "like" too much.
Okay, you don't like that?
Like, it's like I'm going here and like I'm going there. I'm like, no, I am going here. It's not like I'm going there. I'm actually going there. What's your favorite technology gadget that you're using today?
Technology gadget.
Like, is there a gadget that you're using? Maybe you're gadget free. You can be gadget free.
I'm pretty gadget free. I mean,
Yeah.
my phone, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. iPhone or
Well,
the
you
best
know what
phone
I,
ever,
you know, like
Android.
the one thing I've been most excited about is
Yeah.
the setting on my iPhone, mute
Okay.
all unknown numbers.
Ooh,
That
that's a good
is
one.
amazing.
Yeah. That's like everybody.
That's like everybody. Exactly.
Yeah. Do you think
At
you
the
get
end of the
more
day, I
spam?
feel ignored. Nobody calls me anymore.
Right, right. Only your wife calls you. I think if it wasn't for spammers or like, you know, Neiman Marcus texting me, I would have no text messages from people, like literally.
There you go. So you start engaging with these people. It's like, oh yeah, tell me more.
Oh my God, I get all these messages and I look at, I have this thing where I do a digital detox. I turn my phone off at night, Wi-Fi, everything off, and then I don't turn it on till after I meditate in the morning. And then I turn it on. I was like, oh, look how many people love me. And it's like, coupon for Crate and Barrel, Williams Sonoma, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, Venus Williams, she sends me a lot of text messages.
Oh, have she been on your podcast yet?
No, not yet, not yet. We're gonna let her have her time off. She wants a little time off before she gets back
Yes.
into it, but we'll get her in there.
Right.
She does these great tennis skirts, and so yeah, somehow I got on that link. And
Oh, wonderful.
I was always getting texted by Beto when he was running for governor of Texas, and I at like all times of the day. So I felt I'm so popular. I realized like, I'm not popular at all.
What's your favorite word for 2023?
Um, uh, oh gosh, that's a really good question. And I was gonna say perseverance, but I think I'm gonna say equanimity because I need some.
All right. Where are
Yeah,
you going to
more
find it?
equanimity. I think you just find equanimity by just like the whole point is letting things happen, but you don't have to get caught up in them.
Right.
I will say this though. I will say that when you tell people you're doing a digital detox, not you, but when I tell people, they just don't get it. They're like, okay, well, I'll call you tomorrow. I'm like, no, don't call me. I am turning off my phone. Like there's no way. I
Okay,
need
so we
the
got to get
break.
you an analog phone then.
Yeah, I actually my nephew, he is in his early 20s and he asked for an analog phone because he said he's had it. Like it's a lot. And if you go and look, no, this is interesting. I'm glad we're talking about this. If you go and Google analog phone or non-connected smartphone, that's what you have to Google. There is a growing market of device makers that are saying that people just want phones. They don't want to connect to the internet. They don't want any social. They don't want
Right.
any bandwidth. And, there's the light phone, which is one of them, which, was a fun tech startup phone. So I'm not sure I would buy into that. But there's, Motorola's made one. And I hate to say it, but Nokia's made one. Alcatel-Lucent has made one. Samsung has made one because people want to consciously make a choice to disconnect. And I think this is sort of what's been lost along the way.
Right.
Is this 24/7? We've just accepted the connection. And, back to Mappy Friends way back in the day, that was what we were banking on because people weren't that connected then. It wasn't, smartphones were, sort of in their beginning stages. There wasn't enough bandwidth. There wasn't enough, memory in those things to do a whole hell of a lot. And
Right.
now we're just, it's flooding. We're drowning. I feel like I drowned a lot. And that's why I make these digital detox hours and rules.
Good. Well,
Yeah,
I'm glad I made it outside of those hours.
you did. You would. All
Yeah.
my favorite people will make it outside of those hours. Okay. And the last question is, are you reading any books right now? What book are you reading if you're reading a book?
Ooh, I was reading Unreasonable Hospitality. That was really good.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Unreasonable Hospitality. I'm going to look that up and we'll share that in the notes. And well, we are out of time, close to 40 minutes. I knew that we would have a lovely long chat.
Wonderful.
And I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day in Manhattan and coming and talking to me. And I haven't talked to you in such a long time, and it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Let's make a let's. Oh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Let's do a pledge. Let's make sure we see each other in real life or
You know what?
on Mappy Friends this year.
Oh, can we make a reunion on Mappy Friends? Bring it back.
Yes, exactly.
It's like a Mappy Friends exclusive membership.
Let's do it. Yeah, we'll draw a map on the floor.
You could draw out, you know what, I'm going to draw a map on the floor and put you on it. But you know what? That's commitment. I make that commitment to you. It's done. This 2023 is the year of our visit.
Wonderful. We have 663 days to make it happen.
We could do it, right? If we can't, we suck. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 5 with Philip. I went back through our conversation and went to look up a few things we had talked about at the time. And I think I referenced the startup in the Netherlands called, I called it the Hive, but it was actually called Hives, Hyves. And it was only for Dutch people that were coming in. It was all in Dutch. And it was a social networking site, very, very early social networking site. And it was competing at the time with Facebook, which was in its very early toddler years, and MySpace. It was the era of MySpace. But so it was, I remember when I moved there, when I went to the Netherlands, everyone was like, oh, hives. And I was like, yeah, what is this? Is this like a bee husbandry? Like, what's happening here? So in 2010, it had about 10.3 million accounts on it. And that is roughly 2/3 of the Dutch population. So it was a pretty popular account. But most things can't stand alone today. And the world is increasingly a global one. And I do know that Hives had membership levels where you would have to pay to, be at a gold level or a premium membership, or it would, give you access to different parts of the site. And it lasted until about 2013, where it was discontinued due to the decrease in accounts because of the rise of Facebook. So, I think the Netherlands at that time, especially Amsterdam, was a really early tech incubator with these location-based and social startups that I mentioned at the beginning of this recording. But that's one of the reasons that I had met Philip, was through his startup called Mappy Friends, which was a way to map your friend's location on a social network and see how they moved around. Can you imagine? Like, today, people get so upset over it. But at that time in 2006, 7, 8, 9, that was amazing. It was like spaceship amazing. And that's what people wanted to do. I think it's interesting if we go back a little bit and look at the types of technology that we were all engaging with, back in 2006 and 7, and maybe just ask yourself for 2023, do you really need to stay this tightly engaged with technology that's supposed to connect you socially? Because I do think we're suffering a little bit, suffering from human connections, from conversations. And I hope that as we move forward and, you see all the things happening on Twitter, even all of the disinformation on Facebook, I think maybe it would be a nice time for us to sort of step back and think, what is it that I want to do with my life and the people in my life? How do I want to connect with them? And I am grateful that I was able to connect with Philip back in 2008 digitally. And we did connect on Twitter because Twitter just emerged in 2007. And I'm glad that turned into a friendship. So I'm grateful for the way social media, social connectivity technology at the time connected to me to some amazing individuals. So I'm going to wrap this episode up by again thanking you all for listening. Thank you for making comments in the episode. Please continue to listen and share, and we'll see you next time on Tiny Little Victories.